Hey guys, I am super excited to start this series. Sorry, I just shook my camera. We're talking about John the Baptist's birth. And the reason we're doing this, oh yeah, because it's almost the holiday season. And to be honest with you, we always focus on the Christmas story, which is beautiful. But if we look at the things that are surrounding the Christmas story, both on the front end and the back end, we get such a more beautiful picture of the Christmas story itself. So we're going to start all the way at the beginning. We're going to start at Luke chapter 1, verse 5, which is we're going to get to know who Zachariah and Elizabeth are. So I'm going to read it and then we're going to talk about it. You ready? And I know I'm going to botch something and I don't mean to. I've practiced trying to say this, and to be completely honest, I can't. So I apologize in advance. Luke chapter 1, verse 5. When Herod was king of Judah, there was a Jewish priest named Zachariah. He was a member of the priestly order of Jahab, and his wife, Elizabeth, was also from the priestly line of Aaron. Zachariah and Elizabeth were righteous in God's eyes, careful to obey all the Lord's commandments and regulations. They had no children because Elizabeth was unable to conceive, and they were both very old. These verses were written by Luke. Luke was a doctor, so he's very, very specific on things, which I like because I like people's stories. I like understanding who people are. I'd rather watch a TV show than watch a movie type of person because I really want to get to know the people. I really want to get to know the characters. And here Luke gives us a really, really good look into who Elizabeth and Zachariah are, and he sets us up to understand what's coming. But I want to start at the end of the verses that I read because it makes the beginning of the verses so much more beautiful. So the end of the verses is, they had no children because Elizabeth was unable to conceive, and they were both very old. Now, you might be asking, why is that beautiful? Because Luke is setting us up. Luke is explaining to us, number one, that they are very old. And when you get something that specific in the Bible, you really got to pay attention to it. And also that Elizabeth could not conceive. Now, remember, this is first century. This is not 2025. This is this is 2,000 plus years ago. So their thoughts on how things work and our thoughts on how things work are a lot different. And Luke talks about how Elizabeth cannot conceive children. And I want to first say, if you have been through infertility, if you have struggled to have children, I understand it's hard. I've walked with people who have dealt with it, and I know it's a struggle. But the thing I love most of all about the Bible is that God did not give us just a piece of paper that says, I am the Lord your God. You guys messed up. I sent Jesus to save you. I repent and you will be saved. You're welcome. That's not what he did here. He gave us this huge book because he wants us to know we're not alone. There are a lot of subjects in the Bible that are hard for us, but he shows us over and over and over again how people understand. And when I think about that statement, Elizabeth was unable to conceive, I think about a lot of people in the Old Testament who were also going through the same things. You know, they were going through the same issue. I think about Abraham and Sarah, who were also very, very old when they had their son Isaac. When God told them, "You're going to have a son," and Abraham was like, "My wife is way past childbearing age." Or Hannah, who every day went to the temple to pray for this, even to the point of where a priest thought she was drunk. It's in the Bible. It's there. You can look it up. But that's the beautiful thing about the Bible, is that it shows you you're not alone. It shows you that others went through it, and that's why God put those stories in there, was so we don't feel alone. But the thing that I want to focus on the most is that Zachariah and Elizabeth could not have children. I know I keep bringing this up, but if we look now at the beginning verses, that's why I said I wanted to look at the end ones first and then the beginning, because it makes what they do so much more special, and it makes what they do something we should really focus on in our lives. It says that Zachariah and Elizabeth were righteous in God's eyes. They followed his commandments and regulations, even though they weren't getting what they were praying for. They weren't getting the child. Now, the other thing I want to kind of explain is that children are more of a retirement plan, kind of, sort of, back then. They would give the person, they would give the couple, the mom and dad, they would give them that security that somebody was going to take care of them in their old age. That whatever business the father was in, the sons were going to take over. And to have no kids then was as if you had no one to take care of you. But again, we see that that's not true. Even though Zachariah is old, he's still working. He's still working at the temple. And I think that we can see God's provision here. We can see that God is saying, even though you're not getting the thing you want, that you feel can make your life easier, I'm still here. I'm still going to take care of you. And to me, that's the most important thing. To me, when I see that, I think to myself, I'm not alone. You know, there are a lot of things in my life that I want. There's a lot of things in my life that I wish I had, that I believe that... Sorry, I don't know why my shirt is acting like this today, but there's a lot of things in my life that I wish I had that would make my life easier. But I don't have those things yet. Or I may never have those things. But God has never left my side. And God has never left me alone. He has always provided the things me and my kids need. So the idea that He is showing us once again that He will provide, even in the times where we think we don't have the thing that we need to make our lives easier, or to ensure that we have that provision. We can't make things happen. God can make things happen, and sometimes He tells us to be patient and to wait. Now, I want to talk about what it means that Zachariah is a priest. Now, Zachariah was serving at the temple. So he was part of an order. And what the order means is that when King David was king, there was over 20,000 priests from the line of Aaron. That's who was the first priest. That was Moses' brother. So King David had to come up with some type of system because you couldn't have 20,000 plus priests at a time at the temple. So he came up with these 24 orders. And these orders, 2 weeks out of the year, would go to the temple and do their priestly duties. And this is when Zechariah is on. This is when Zechariah is on duty, if that's what you want to call it. And it, I can't speak. Luke tells us that in verse 8 through 10, he says, one day Zechariah was serving God in the temple, and his order was on duty that week. As was the custom of the priests, was chosen by lot to enter the sanctuary of the Lord and burn incense. While the incense was burning, a great crowd stood outside praying. Now, these priests have jobs, whether it's, teaching people at the temple, praying for people at the temple, but there is one priest that gets to go into the inner sanctuary and light this incense. And they do this twice a day because the Jewish people believed that if you light the incense, the smoke from the incense brings your prayers up to heaven. So they would pray twice a day, and this huge crowd would draw around and wait. And this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for Zechariah. This is you have about 1,000-ish people, men, in each one of these priestly orders. So you kind of have to draw names. Think about a lot as pulling a name out of a hat or pulling straws or something like that. That's what drawing a lot means. But Zechariah gets chosen, and he gets to go into the sanctuary of the Lord. And it's only my opinion. I think it's a different priest every day. I'm not quite sure. But this was his time. Side note, I'm a little sick, so I apologize about the sound of my voice. But that's okay. Let's get back to it. So, he got to go into this. And remember what we talked about in the beginning? That he didn't have the thing he wanted. He wanted a child. But he still was devoted to the Lord. He was still devoted to being a priest because he knew God was going to be there for him. So, as we close out this video, I want to really sit here and focus on the fact that there are things that we struggle with. There are things that we want that we don't have. And God knows that, and he will never be angry or upset with you for going, why didn't you give me this? I don't get it. I don't understand. He wants you to come to him with these questions. I bet Zechariah and Elizabeth had these exact same questions. I bet they sat there and they said, I don't get it. We follow the rules. We follow the commandments. Zechariah is a priest. Why aren't you giving us what we want? And sometimes it's not about us. Sometimes it's about God's timing. And that's hard for us as humans to say, well, maybe I have to wait. Maybe I have to be patient. I know, like I said, for myself, it's hard. The things that I feel like I need in my life, I'm tired of being patient for, to be honest with you. But I know I have to, and I know that God is showing me a lot more in my patience and or maybe my lack of patience than if I instantly got what it is that I want or what I feel like I need. Because sometimes, even though we want it, we can't handle it at that time, at that moment, even though we feel like we desperately need it. So, my prayer for you today is that you can see that God is giving you provision even in the moments where you just are sitting there saying, I don't understand. I don't understand why I don't have this thing that I really need. So, I hope you guys have a great day. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, all that stuff. I want to get these videos out to whomever needs them and needs to see them. Like I said, leave a comment, and I will see you guys in another video. Bye.